Want to hear another hot movie recommendation? A show, actually, today? I got just the one for you. Hi, this is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Welcome back to my channel. Here, I help you get your orgasmic intimacy. Before I get into today's review, I want to remind you of the best resource for this summer, the practices. Yes, the ones that I have on Patreon. I upload several times a week, shorter or longer practices. They're helpful for your intimate life to get back into your body, to maintain a strong connection with your body, allow you to carry and sustain more sensation, more arousal, and also express better. That's because we do practices with breath work, so breath. We do practices with touch. We do practices with movement. We do practices with sound or word. And we pay attention to all of that. So this kind of small workouts help you in the long run embody a juicier you. So I'll leave the link below to the practices. Check it out. You can take them with you wherever, do them whenever, wherever. Right, so now back to the movie review or TV show. The one that I chose for today is The Anatomy of a Scandal. And this is about a married man who's a minister of labor, if I recall correctly. And this guy is being charged with sexual harassment by a colleague who had also been his intimate partner. And the TV show goes through a court trial, and inserted among the discussions in court we are being thrown back into this guy's past, back when he was just a student, and stuff that had happened, not just to him, but he also did. So it shows like a full circle. What we do in the past, we're bound to repeat if we're not conscious of what we're doing. And as far as I can make, like if I can make an observation straight on point, this one is about the, how do I say this? Insensitivity, like lack of intelligence, erotic intelligence or sexual intelligence that certain people can have. In this case, we are being introduced to a man showing that kind of lack of intelligence, but it can be also women. Like, rest assured, women can be as insensitive and just ignorant when it comes to the other and what we're doing to the other as this guy was. So just because they chose a man, it doesn't mean that only men can embody this. So what are the things that I liked? I'm going to invite you to watch the story. I'm not going to tell you how it unfolds, what happens, so none of that. I'm just going to make a few remarks based on the show. I'm not aware if this is a real case and dramatized. I'll just take it as a fiction. But the situations themselves, those could definitely happen in many cases and in many places, not just in the UK, obviously. So the stuff that I appreciated here, first and foremost, was the ambition shown by the lawyer. I forgot the name of the character, but it's Michelle Dockery. And for any of you ladies that have watched at least a few seasons of Downton Abbey, then you're going to be beautifully surprised that she was my favorite actress and obviously character. I love the way she talks. I love the way she looks. I just love a lot about her, and I found out that she's only 1 year older than I am. So she's born in 1981, and I'm born in 1982. So I was like, yeah, she's from my generation. Just to make a joke, apparently the early 80 people were called geriatric millennials. That's a joke. I don't know what the fuck people are thinking. Like, oh, geriatric. Like, have you seen me? Nowhere near getting old, but we're from that generation, so we're still millennials, by the way. Just because we're not in our 20s or 30s, we're still millennials. So coming back to the story now. So I liked her character because she portrays the ambition to overcome one's condition. So the character that she plays is a middle-class white woman in college who is in some unfortunate circumstances. She doesn't speak, not even to her friend, about it. So something happens to her. Leaves, just simply bails out, leaves, doesn't say why, and transforms herself. So she basically leaves for a different country and just comes back with a different name and so on. And when this woman is faced with the reason she actually left, so she's faced with the same situation that she went through, but this time it's from a different position and angle. She doesn't, she has a very big stake, so she's not neutral. She doesn't let anybody know, just a very good friend, and that's it. Some others catch on, and they try during that trial in which she is part of the prosecution. So she tries, basically she supports her case, so she prosecutes, but she is manipulated, or she's tried to be manipulated. And how she handles all the intense emotional and psychological distress, which involves obviously a scandal, in this case a rape. So, news flash or spoiler alert, we're not talking in this series just of one rape, but of more rapes. So this happens, basically. Now, the unfolding, the anatomy of the scandal is that obviously there's this guy, the Minister of Labor. He has a friend who is the Prime Minister in this show. And initially he has his support, but as luck would have it, what are friends for, he is pushed to withdraw, the Prime Minister, to withdraw his support. So this guy who is charged with rape, he has to, remind, quote unquote, his friend that his friend owes him. Yeah. So that one is like this kind of stuff, with friends reminding them one another that, hey, you owe me. And when I'm in really big, nasty trouble right now, I need you. But let's just say that maybe not too many people who are living not necessarily in that level of life, so not prime minister or minister, just normal people, they don't have leverage for their best friends to show their support, so to be loyal. So that one was really, really interesting to me. Secondly, we have a wife. So we see, and it's played by Sienna Miller. I think she's also from my generation. I relate better to Michelle Dockery, basically, the actress, but I love her roles. So Sienna Miller plays the wife, and initially she believes her husband, but gradually she is faced with information that she doesn't know what to do with. Here I want to make a remark of how present day mindset influences movies. I watched a movie which it was originally made in 2003. It is called Mystic River, and it features Sean Penn. Forgive me, I don't remember all the other actors by name. They are familiar by face, but not by name. So in that movie, a murder happens. So a rape and a murder, not in this one. And in that movie, there's also a man who is thought. He also thinks that maybe he did something wrong. His wife also thinks that maybe her husband did something wrong. So in that movie, what we see is a wife not knowing if her husband is guilty of rape and murder. And what she does is she goes and tells friends. The fact that she told friends before she was sure costs her husband's life. Yeah. And that movie ends with Sean Penn and everybody else in the group of friends looking at this woman desperately seeking for her husband. Nobody tells her that he was murdered. So she desperately seeks for him. She doesn't know what happened. Probably that's the worst thing possible. You don't know. And that's her torment, essentially. And we see the movie ending with everybody else looking at this woman, desperately seeking her husband, and Sean Penn and his wife in the movie looking at her, and his wife going, how could a wife betray her husband like that? You don't do that. You stay loyal to her husband no matter what. Eventually, it turns out the husband was not guilty of murder in that movie. In this movie, right now, the ending is not the same. But this is 2022, so almost 20 years later. The mindset around sexuality, what men do, what women do, who we stick up for or with, so all of this stuff has changed. So this mentality now obviously moves into the narrative of the movie. I'm not going to tell you how it ends, the TV show in this case, but I invite you to watch it. So the wife, Sienna Miller, in this case the actress, takes a different course than the wife in the movie 20 years ago. The outcome is, well, different. But the wife is no longer judged, not for being loyal, not for not being loyal. And I believe that one is, I think that's important also. So the wife is in the worst place possible. Her husband is being charged with assaulting another woman. She too is a woman. And who do you stay loyal to? In the middle of a scandal that affects your family, your children, her network. So the people around her basically shun her. She's isolated also because of something her husband did. So that's the entire anatomy of a scandal. And the role that she has is extremely, extremely delicate. Obviously, I'm sticking with the character of Michelle Dockery, the prosecutor in this case, which has a different burden than that of the wife. But I resonated or I appreciated more her burden. I hope, though, I never end up in the role or the burden of the wife in this case. Because being married to somebody, having kids with somebody, allegedly who you love, although we're also being taken back into their past. And she basically, and I think that's a good mirror, she married somebody, but maybe she did not know exactly who she married. Because he showed her a different face from what other women saw. So there's a lot of, like, the anatomy of a scandal, if you look at it more deeply, and if you really watch it and try to identify or at least feel some compassion or empathy for each character, you realize, well, one of them is raised in a very, well, difficult way, and she goes through difficult situations, and she just has to make a shift and a turn and turn her life around. But as luck would have it, what you run away from runs towards you, or you cannot escape it. The other character, who's been raised semi-ignorantly, so she doesn't know, her friend didn't tell her, her husband didn't tell her, a lot of people did not tell her. This is the wife, the woman. A lot of people don't tell her everything, and she doesn't know. She doesn't understand. That's, again, there's a similarity with the wife in Mystic River. She doesn't know what's going on. I think that is the worst place to be in. And I think this movie kind of shows the wife is, like, her burden is also quite significant. And I hope nobody goes into or ends up in that situation. And then there's the husband himself, who goes through a lot of situations, but he does a lot of stuff just to see his career pushing through. And in a way, stepping on not bodies, but on traumas of other people, destinies of other people, and using other people like his wife, because you're going to see what I mean in the movie. So there's a lot of stuff that the anatomy of a scandal revealed, at least to me. Is there some sex there? Yes, it is. Not a lot, though. Okay, it's about a sex scandal, but it's not a lot of, like, the psychological and emotional stuff is much heavier, more scorpionic stuff from that perspective. For all the ladies out there who know what I'm talking about. But the actual action, well, it's there. We kind of see it. But yeah, not so much. So if you really want like hardcore action, porn movies are or just your real life, like go for that one. I think this what calls for is again, like in Leo Grande, it was around emotional intelligence. Here it's around sexual intelligence, pure sexual and erotic intelligence, feeling like seeing, reading the signals on the other person. And also controlling or how you manage your own impulses under stress, under pressure, because we got to say this also. All the abuse and rape happens under a greater pressure. So it's not just out of the blue. There is a context there. Yeah, so that I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to remind you of the practices that I have on Patreon. Ladies, if you want to increase your body intelligence, okay, and embodied capacities, those practices are going to be extremely useful to you. They are sustainable in the long run. Financially, the costs are not great no matter what happens. They are, you can take them, you have them on your cell phone basically, so you can take them with you wherever. You just log into your Patreon account. And if you stick with them over long periods of time, ideally forever, but over long periods of time, you're gonna see results. The women that I've worked with, either live or just through the recordings, are seeing results. Those that resonated with the practices. So check those out under the video. Enjoy the series, Anatomy of a Scandal. And I'll see you with part 3, where I have another series to review. Bye!